And now, Life Skills with Dr. Ralph Henson from Life Baptist Church in Meridian.
4 years ago, my dad was sick, and he went to the doctor. He finally went to the emergency room. We thought it was his heart. We were amazed when my mom called me. I just stepped away from the emergency room, and she called me and said Dad had leukemia. I couldn't believe it. I came back to the emergency room, and when I got in there, I saw my mom and I saw my dad, and I just didn't know how they were going to react. And the doctor came in and he said, "You have a type of leukemia." And he said leukemia happens when one blood cell, a white blood cell, not only starts reproducing too much, but it's an immature white cell. So not only does it reproduce, but it reproduces and doesn't do any good, and it will just eventually take over everything. And I looked at my dad to see how he would react. And he looked at my mama and he smiled and he said, "Well, if I die, the keys to the motorhome are on my dresser and my Bible's there. I want you to take care of everything." And he just smiled, and I said, "Daddy, you're not going to die." He said, "Well, I'm okay if I do." I've thought about that often, and he died the next June 19th, 3 years ago. And I've thought often about how he reacted when he heard the bad news. Some people, when they hear the bad news that someone's dying or something bad happened, they go ballistic, they just scream, they holler, they're like, "Why me?" I'll never forget the peace and the smile that was on my dad's face when he knew that he was going to die. That amazed me, because the peace that he had on his face was a reflection of the peace that was in his heart. My dad loved the Lord, and I'll never forget when he got sick at the end, and he was near the end, and he had we didn't know it, but he had a bleeding vessel in the brain, and he couldn't move the right side of his face. And I went in to see him that morning. He died. And he told me, he called our doctor a cowboy because he wore cowboy boots. He said, "Ralph, I want you to call that cowboy doctor. I want you to get his 6-shooter, and I want you to shoot me because I'm ready to go see Jesus." And he died a little later that day. From the day he was sick to the day he died, he honored the Lord. He honored the Lord in life, and he honored the Lord in death. And now he's with the Lord. You know, we're all going to die. We're all going to face a time when bad news happens. How do you react? The truth is, what's on the inside will come out. So let God's peace rule in your heart and in your life.